There's a systematic distortion in how medical information reaches the public, and it's creating a dangerously skewed perception of vaccine safety. Here's how it works. When something unusual happens after a medical intervention, doctors write it up as a case report and medical journals publish it. But when nothing happens, which is the overwhelming majority of cases, there's no publication, no report, no documentation. This creates what researchers call publication bias, and it's fundamentally warping public understanding of risk. Think about the incentive structure here. Medical journals want to publish novel, unexpected findings. They don't want to publish a case report titled, "Patient received vaccine and everything was fine." Social media algorithms amplify sensational content because fear and outrage drive engagement. The result is that dramatic, alarming case reports get massive visibility, while the millions upon millions of unremarkable outcomes remain completely invisible. This is what scientists call the file drawer problem. For every published case report about an adverse event after vaccination, there are literally millions of uneventful cases that exist but aren't reported anywhere. This makes case reports completely useless for assessing actual risk frequency. They can identify potential signals worth investigating, but they cannot tell you how common or rare something actually is. Let me give you a concrete example. You might hear about 333 cancer cases reported after billions of vaccine doses. That sounds alarming at first, doesn't it? But here's the critical context. That number is actually far below what we'd expect to see based on baseline cancer rates in that population. In other words, if anything, the data suggests vaccination might be associated with fewer cancer diagnoses than expected, though that's likely just statistical noise as well. This is where statistical literacy becomes crucial. You need to understand denominators. Out of how many total people did these 333 cases occur? You need to understand baseline rates. What would happen without the intervention? And you need to understand the difference between relative risk and absolute risk. A scary-sounding case report might describe something that happens to 1 person out of 10 million, which is a dramatically different risk profile than 1 out of 10,000. The media amplifies this distortion because journalists often lack the statistical background to properly contextualize medical information. An article might feature multiple dramatic anecdotes from people who believe vaccines harm them, creating the impression this is common, while completely ignoring the population-level data showing it's extraordinarily rare or non-existent. Here's what you need to remember. Anecdotes and case reports are the bottom tier of medical evidence. They're useful for generating hypotheses to test, but they cannot establish how often something actually occurs. When someone shares a dramatic story about an adverse event after vaccination, your first question should be, out of how many total people? What's the baseline rate? What do large population studies show? Without those answers, you're making decisions based on fear, not data.